Today I'm going to go over a little bit of the differences of remote starts for a consumer. The three questions that you want to ask yourself before purchasing a remote start is, A, do you want to add an alarm? B, obviously, what is your range? Range is the almost most important question you have to ask yourself, and see what type of vehicle do you have. Those are the three qualifying questions that any person should ask you when buying a remote start. The most important, obviously, is going to be range. Second most important is what type of vehicle do you have. Some of these units will work on certain types of vehicles. Some of them will not work on other types, especially BMW, Mercedes, any of the European models. You cannot use certain remote starts on those, especially push-to-starts or different vehicles like that. The thing I always ask a customer, how long or how extended range do you need to be able to start the vehicle from your home or your work? Most people say to me, oh, well, my driveway is only 100 feet long. That's great. What about when you go to work? Well, I work in the back of Lowe's, or I work in the back of Walmart. That's going to be a different remote that you're going to need from your house to Walmart. So I always tell people it's always better to have too much than not enough. That's where a two-way would come in. That is the biggest question I always ask everybody. The difference between a one-way and a two-way, a one-way will send out the signal, which these are all one-way units here. It will send out the signal through the remote, and it will start the vehicle. Your parking lights will flash to let you know that the vehicle started. That is your confirmation to let you know on a one-way remote start. On a two-way remote start, it will send out the signal through the remote and then come back onto the remote and actually let you know and light up and chirp both on an LED and an LCD remote that you will purchase and let you know the vehicle has remote started.
Let you know that it
on my remote, it will send out a signal in amber and it will come back in green to confirm and chirp at you to let you know that it has remote started. The biggest confirmation about that is it's peace of mind to know that your vehicle is remote started. If you look out there or you cannot see your vehicle from the inside of a building, it makes it very difficult to know whether or not your vehicle is remote started or not. That is the biggest complaint I hear from everybody. The original question I said, ask somebody if they care about alarm, remote start, anything like that. This is an alarm remote start. You need to ask your customer, or as a customer, you need to ask the person selling you the remote start. If you ever think you're going to need an alarm, that is something you need to do in the very beginning of the sale. If you do not think you're going to need an alarm, not a big deal. Just put a remote start on the vehicle or keyless, remote start keyless. If you think that you might need an alarm, you need to do it when you purchase this, because if you purchase a remote start and you want an alarm later, this has to come out, we have to put this in. So you're basically wasting your money, in my opinion, twice, or you're causing twice as much work. If you think there's any need for you to have a remote start and alarm, definitely purchase it the first time, or you're going to be, in my opinion, wasting money and time, both. The other question you need to ask yourself is brand, reputation, those types of things. How long has this business been doing remote starts? There's a lot of companies out there that's been doing it for 1-2 years. They'll use inferior product than what everybody else uses. It might last 60 days to 90 days. This is the most important part of your vehicle. This is not like putting a radio in and you lose your sound. If this does not work correctly, your vehicle does not start with a key or with this. That is the biggest thing I explain to people is there's people out there that do remote starts for cheap. There's people out there that are inexperienced in this that will do them for a cheaper price than other people. You get what you pay for when it comes to remote starts and the labor. The biggest thing you have to remember is this is the product that's going into your vehicle. You need to make sure that it comes with a warranty. I sell a lifetime warranty on all parts and my labor. So anything that goes wrong, including brain, remotes, antenna, I cover it for a lifetime. If my labor goes bad, I cover it for a lifetime. I can guarantee you there's nobody that's going to do that. If there is, I'm glad they stand behind their product just like I do. The other question you need to ask yourself is, the person that's putting it in your vehicle is almost the absolute most important part of the install, because unlike a robot, this human being is putting this into your vehicle. If they're having a bad day and they don't feel like they want to make your remote start look nice, or they just want to throw it up in there, which I've seen 1,000 times in 22 years of doing this, your vehicle might start that day, but the next day it might not even start with a key. It might not even start with the remote start, and then you have to take your vehicle back or have it towed or any of those things. You need to do your research on companies. You need to do your research on these remote starts to see what other people are using, what feedback everybody's having. I stand behind my product. You can watch any of my videos on YouTube to see what we do. We don't have people come back. If we do, it's for a very minimal problem that is easily fixed. It might be a firmware issue, or my range is not far enough on my remote, and we get them into a better remote. We try to ask people more qualifying questions than worrying about making a sale. That is what most people do with remote starts. They're just trying to get you in the door and get you out the door. We are trying to figure out what's going to work best for you. These are the questions you need to ask yourself and know the differences between these remote starts. Also, this is a 1-button, this is a 4-button, and this is a 4-button remote start with security. These are the 3 differences basically between these units. This unit has a big, large single button in it. Basically, you can start the vehicle with that larger button by holding it down for 3 seconds. A lot of people like that. It's simple, easy. A lot of people like simple and easy. 4 buttons sometimes confuse people because they don't understand why there's so many buttons on here and what it does. Most people's key fobs nowadays have a lock and unlock on them. So they're like, I don't need all these extra buttons, I already have those on my key. That is where this single button comes into play. When I do dealership work, I do dealers, this is mostly what everybody wants because their key fobs already come with a lock and unlock or trunk pop or any of those things. I agree with them. The range is a little bit smaller on the 1 button compared to the 4 button. It's about 200 feet difference. But those are the things that you need to ask people. The main thing you're going to get out of these is about a 1/4 mile in between 1,000 to 1,500 feet, which is pretty good, and that's uninterrupted, compared to a 2A LCD or LED is going to give you 3,000 feet to almost 3/4 of a mile. You can also get them up to a mile or even 3-mile range. I'm not a big LCD person, mainly because the remotes are so expensive. I would say go to a drone. We can talk about that later in a different video or later in this video, but that is where you can control it from your smartphone. That's a great opportunity to have for almost the exact same price as buying an LCD. So that's my personal opinion, but these are the 3 differences mainly between the 3 questions you need to ask yourself and 3 differences between these remote starts here in front of you.